Yes.
So we do have an EP planned?
Yeah, the EP, we have it planned for June. That it's already recorded and all set to go. But yeah, June 15th is the day we're releasing the EP Flight of the Mingos.
Flight of the Mingos, that's what it's called?
Yes.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
That's what's been on all of your merch and stuff for a while now, is all the Flamingo merch.
Yes.
We'll get to that later on because I have a question for you about that one.
Okay.
However, I am looking forward to asking about it. So Flight of the Mingo can be expected on, you said June 15th?
Yes.
June 15th, all right.
Yeah.
Keep your ears, eyes, and everything else open for that one. And for hopefully a CD release party when that does happen.
We do have a show actually at the Atria that night with Goombas, Woolly Mantis, and I think that's the three that are playing. There might be another one.
Now that's
but yeah,
a lineup.
it's going to be a really cool show.
That's a good lineup. I like the Goombas. I've seen them a few times now.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, no,
We did have them in here in studio like a while ago. Like, I think I had them in studio, and then the very next week, you guys.
Okay.
Because after I followed the Goombas to a show, I'm like, I gotta get these Zaftig guys on here.
I believe you actually came to the Kaleidoscope Horse show where we played with the Goombas, and
Yeah.
that's where we actually kind of first.
Yeah, that's when we all met.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
that was a
very true.
good time. That was a good time. I've only ever seen you play at the Atria. I want to get you in other sets because, like, other people need to hear you, not
Yeah.
just downtown Nashville patrons.
Yeah, we're getting out there. We played a few times in Ottawa and Toronto, but yeah, it's going to be a good month. I know May 31st to the June 22nd, we're doing a tour of the East Coast, and it's going to be a lot of
Nice.
fun.
You guys got to hit Peterborough. They
Yeah.
got a good scene out there.
Do they?
Yeah, consistently good. There's this new place that opened up called Simcoe in Peterborough. Shout out to that place. And it seems really nice.
Okay.
And it's letting a bunch of artists, like the Bonnevilles, Basement Dweller played it, like a bunch of artists who like generally don't get that crowd.
Yeah.
All play a pretty nice looking venue.
Really?
Yeah, I definitely recommend checking that out. Well,
Yeah.
we talked about the release date, but the name behind it is Flight of the Mingos.
Yeah.
Let's get a bit of an explanation on that.
The song Flight of the Mingos, we're naming the EP off, and we didn't really have a name for the song. We had these three parts that had lyrics, but we didn't really know what to call it, and Mike, our drummer, just like, he knows like Mingos have been popping around like some of the clothing we wear and stuff, that he was like, oh, like, why don't we call it Flight of the Mingos? And then we kind of just reworked the story a little bit, like changed a little bit of the lyrics, added like the title Flight of the Mingos into the song, and like it just worked perfectly, and it's just such a cool
great.
little name.
So it's like the adventure of this song has now an entire EP around it.
Exactly.
That's so cool. It's
Yeah.
like in the flight, you
Yeah.
gained the rest of the EP. Is
Very
it like a
true.
5-song release, or what are we thinking?
Yeah, it is a 5-song release. Crumbs is going to be on there. There's another track called Changes, and then the 3-part epic, which is Flight of the Mingos.
Cool.
And yeah, it just kind of like follows like the story of like an apocalypse of some sort, and that pretty bird has to figure out what it's going to do.
All right.
And yeah, it's a majestic little bird, but it's not going to be safe just because it's pretty, you know?
Just 'cause it's pretty.
It's got to figure something out.
Nothing's safe just because it's pretty.
Exactly.
All right. So, yeah, let's play some more music, and then we're going to talk about why flamingos. So, we've been talking a lot about the album, Flight of the Mingos, and everything else. So, why flamingos? This is a strange and sudden obsession.
Flamingos is because one day Mark just said that his favorite animal was flamingos.
And now you've cursed him with
So
it?
yeah, the rest of his life he's gonna have to see flamingos everywhere. He probably hates flamingos now, but
I like monkeys.
You like monkeys?
I like monkeys.
Well, we now know what the next album's going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Planet of the Apes.
But- and
We're
it
gonna go
also
from there.
works well though. You see a lot of flamingo stuff everywhere, and it just kind of really like.
yeah.
No, it's becoming an aesthetic ground point of the band. It's hilarious watching like all the stuff that goes up, like all the merch. The Zaftig merch is like super colorful, and then you see this guy dressed in all black.
Yeah. Always.
Every single set, it's the funniest thing to me.
It is.
It's so good too. So, Crumbs specifically, I think we should talk about it for at least a second. What's the point of the song?
It really is just getting at the idea of crumbs being maybe the little things in your life that's all you have, and you gotta pick them up and make do with what you have. And it can be like sometimes like the lyrics can come from just like scatting and not having any kind of real idea, but it really just formed into the idea of looking for your crumbs, the little things in your life that you can actually maybe mold into something better. They could have been a good part of something before that was a hole that's been broken up.
So it
And
started as a bit of a jam band song, and then
Yeah.
you kind of slowly made lyrics and meaning around it. I like
Yeah.
that. That's cool.
And that's usually a lot of how the songs go is you don't think there's a lot of meaning when you're kind of just scatting something out, and then the more you work on it and look back on it, you realize how much meaning you're really putting into it, or how much was coming out of you that just seemed like nonsense.
If you've been a fan of the show for a while, you probably know I take requests from my guests for music played on air. I would never have played Beach Boys. And I am going to kind of grill you for choosing Beach Boys.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You know what? I'm down. It was a decent track. It's all right. So, how'd you guys go about the recording process? Because this doesn't sound like most, like, I haven't heard the full EP, but from what I've heard from Crumbs, it's really heavy on the drums, which is unusual for most bands.
We went up to Chalet Studios with Justin Melly, with a couple other people as techs, and we had this really nice drum kit that we got from a guy named Graham that we were using. He was the drum tech, and we were all just so surprised by how the drums were sounding. They just sounded so nice, and Mike's also just a really good drummer. He can make something very simple, like a simple riff that we're doing, so much more energetic and complex. That having the drums so up there in the mix, it kind of just has to be that way. Like it's such an integral part of the song.
Makes it sound right.
It does.
That's perfect. All right, so let's wrap up the show by listening to it again. Thank you again for all coming in and tuning in and watching Subterranean on like the bi-weekly basis. I have to say it twice because I do it twice a week, every week.
Thanks, Jay.
And thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it, like really do. All right, so this is Zaftig with Crumbs. Catch you later.